But as far as this fear of death goes, and the natural response to try to control outcomes as a result of this great terror and fear of becoming self-aware of our own impending doom, yeah, in that process, I came to realize that because I had had multiple experiences where what I rooted my identity in was gone overnight, quite literally overnight. It's happened multiple times where I've woken up in the morning and boom, my whole life was changed that day. Woke up paralyzed one time. Waking up in the hospital after surgery is another kind of thing. Waking up and my children being gone. Waking up and not knowing if I'll be able to move my legs and having to try to walk with all that pain. Just get out of bed. Not being able to work. Just overnight. Gone. These experiences, I have come to understand on one level, are a near-death experience. When everything that we identify ourselves with is taken away in an instant. Talk about shock and awe. But what's even more miraculous is that I had a response, and something from deep, deep inside rose up. And I overcame it. I didn't know in the moment if I was going to or not, but the impulse moved me, and I kept moving. But in relationship to this desire to want to control things, you see, my experience has been one of loss of becoming very aware that there are things in the world that I have no control over. This has been a regular experience since I was 20 years old. Well, even before then, I just had a natural stance and posture with life that I don't need to control it. It's not, I'm not going to stop the sun from rising. I'm not going to stop the waves from ebbing and flowing. But then I had these massive realizations. Every time I tried to exert my will and make something happen, some tremendous loss would occur. And when I was younger, it was very funny because you can laugh a lot off when you're young. Then as I got older and other people were involved, it was just terrible, just absolutely terrible to think of the loss that because when other people are involved, it's more than just my loss. It's a lot of things being lost, a lot of lives feeling loss. But I was not ever a kind of person to exert control. When big things happen, it's more, I have a natural stance and posture to say, well, let's just see how this goes, rather than I'm going to make this go the way I want. Because every time I tried to make something go, I ended up seriously hurt, personally, within myself. Pain was a tremendous teacher for me. And it brought to my awareness that there are certain people that are given allowances that others aren't when it comes to trying to control things. And then I started looking at them and realizing that they had a way about them to manipulate others around them. And it was very disturbing to me to think how manipulated people can be and how we naturally tend to submit to manipulation by certain individuals. A good example is an authority. An authority has great power. We already know that power corrupts. There's a lot of people in power that are corrupt individuals, and we give them allowances. We say, well, he had a lot of power. We can punish him, but I mean, it's not a surprise that trying to abuse their power and manipulate others. But we do it naturally. We very often want to submit. And this really got me thinking, because all of these experiences are integral in me. And in relationship to my friend who we had the mutual friend that passed away, I was realizing I don't want to take the magic away from him. He's going to deal with this the way he deals with it. I can, ramble on and talk my talk, and a lot of people think I'm rambling and talking my talk, but ultimately they need to feel whatever they're going to feel, and they're going to experience what they're going to experience, and they're going to learn the lesson they get from it. But I learned that this fear of death, this wanting to control the outcome, and this desire to surrender and submit to being manipulated by events. All these things are tremendous players in multiple and various aspects of my life throughout the chapters of my life. I might consider a decade a chapter. Each decade a chapter. And the same lesson comes through. That a lot of people really want to be manipulated, and they seek relationships that will manipulate them. And they're actually manipulating the relationship in order to try and get the outcome they want. But then, at the same time, they're hoping to have to surrender and relinquish control. And in that surrender and relinquishing of control, there's a huge eruption of feeling. It becomes like a storehouse for ever more values, ever more behaviors, and the roles that may come thereof.